Everybody that's been watching Monday Night Raw and Smackdown live has been asking for one thing, and one thing only, and that is real change. This morning we woke up to the news of Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman being named executive directors of both Monday Night Raw and Smackdown Live as WWE is set to move to Fox Sports in October. Are we finally on the road to real change? Or is Vince McMahon going to continue to deliver the same old shit on Monday and Tuesday nights? We're going to talk about it and why you should not be all that excited yet, right here on Off the Script.
Delete this man.
I wake up this morning, and I had every intention to turn on my Keurig, have a couple of cups of coffee, sit in this very chair, and record Friday's podcast. I did not expect to wake up to the news that we got today. I looked at my phone, seen what time it was, and I was bombarded with texts about today's news. Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. Two names that I am sure you are familiar with. One ran WCW, went head-to-head with Vince and WWE. Paul Heyman also went head-to-head, per se, with WWE. Ran ECW. One of my favorite promotions, one of my favorite periods to be a pro wrestling fan ever. Now they are working directly under Vince McMahon in a new war, as AEW is set to debut on TNT this October. Everything in life comes full circle. Vince killed both ECW and WCW, and now the two figureheads of both of those promotions that went head-to-head with WWE are going to aid Vince in the new war against the Elite. How fucking fitting is all of this news today? And the one thing that is on everybody's mind is, does this signal real change? Does this finally mean we're going to get real change in the WWE? Is Monday Night Raw going to be watchable again? Is SmackDown Live finally going to get back to doing what we know SmackDown Live can do on Tuesday nights right now? Moving to Friday in October. Fox wanted change. Fox, according to Brad Shepard of the Oh You Didn't Know podcast, said that WWE was set to meet with Fox executives in Los Angeles about changes needing to be implemented on the current TV product. WWE wanted to be prepared before they went and met with Fox executives. Clearly, this was a sign that they knew they were going to get their asses chewed out by Fox executives for whatever the fuck WWE has been doing coming out of WrestleMania, which we all know has been god-awful television. But should you be excited? Yeah, you should be excited. I'm not going to get excited yet, because this is the same old song and dance, people. This is the same old fucking bullshit. WWE throws out a nice little fucking juicy tidbit here. This news of Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. Names that you fucking respect. Names that I will never say anything bad about right now. Two names that we all know the WWE product is shit. This is WWE doing what exactly? Do they want change? Do they really understand that change is needed? Do they want to compete with someone who is not only walking into their backyard, they're fucking taking the tanks and the rest of the fucking army, and they're ready to blow this motherfucker sky high. Do they realize that change is needed? I certainly hope so with these moves, because if there's not, I don't know what else WWE could possibly pull out of their bag of tricks and do. It's okay to be excited, but I'll tell you why you should not be excited yet, right here on the podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining me today on this emergency off the script. I was not going to wait till Saturday. I got Friday's show already written out. I wasn't waiting until Saturday to cover this shit. So I'm here on a Thursday. I was wanting to do NXT UK, but take a back seat, bro. We got bigger things to do right here on the podcast. Make sure you guys follow me on social media at JD from NY206 on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you guys do both. I would really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on that bell for all notifications. And if you guys want to join the channel, become a member of the channel, hit that join button as well. Not only do patrons get early access, but if you guys sign up and become a member on YouTube and hit that join button, you guys are also going to get access to my Off the Script Discord server, and you're going to get Off the Script early access for Friday's banger of an episode, where we talk about Seth Rollins and his comments made to Sports Illustrated. So make sure you guys do that. And if you're on the Patreon side of things, or if you guys want to support the podcast via Patreon, patreon.com/JD from NY206. Make sure you guys go check out all of this week's videos. Oh my goodness, man. I thought I had a fucking... that's a ghastly fucking scare right there. Shane McMahon looking at me like that, man. Holy shit. Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, NXT. WWE decided to air Evolve's anniversary show the same night as AEW's Fight for the Fallen, and there's tomorrow's episode, man. Seth Rollins blasts Jon Moxley and defends Vince McMahon's creative and recent interview with Sports Illustrated. Stomping Grounds, if you guys missed the podcast, thank you for all the support on that. That is also live. And Monday Night Raw, terrible. If God tried, he himself could not even fix Monday Night's Raw. Will Paul Heyman be able to do what God couldn't do or can't do on Monday nights? Make sure you guys check all that stuff out. Links will be in the annotation that you see in the top right corner of your screen. Let's hit this news, man. I got a lot to go over with this particular story, and we're going to start right at the top. Huge changes coming to WWE programming. This is according to Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated later this morning, or early in the morning, I should say, of today, Thursday. WWE's official Twitter account confirmed this news and have announced it to the world that major changes are coming. Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff have been named the new executive directors of WWE television. Heyman will lead Monday Night Raw, while Bischoff will head SmackDown Live. Both men will still report to WWE CEO Vince McMahon. This is why you should not be excited, folks. This is why you should not be excited yet. I know you want to. I know you want to come out of your fucking shell. I know WWE has scared the living shit out of you for the last 10 years plus. I know WWE has driven you away to go find other things to keep yourself occupied on Monday and Tuesday night. This is exactly why you should not be excited yet. I know you want to. I know you want to fucking throw a parade with this news. I'm telling you to hold the streamers, hold the confetti, put the beverages on ice for now. It's not time to celebrate. Both men will still report to WWE CEO Vince McMahon no matter what. No matter what. Vince McMahon is still in charge. I don't give a fuck if you put Jesus Christ by Vince McMahon, even though we all know that would be a modern day biblical fucking tale, because Vince McMahon is Satan himself battling the good. So, if you guys want to rewrite the Bible, there you go. But even Jesus Christ, if he was sitting at the right hand of Vince McMahon would still be in control of WWE. Bischoff will also work with Fox executives as SmackDown is set to move to Fox in October. We all know this, but Bischoff, I am assuming, is going to be with Fox because of his knowledge with WCW and being on Turner Broadcasting. That's the first thing that popped into my mind. This is directly from WWE, folks. Stamford, Connecticut issued, or Titan Tower, I should say, from Stamford, Connecticut issued this statement. WWE today announced that it has named Paul Heyman as Executive Director of Monday Night Raw and Eric Bischoff as Executive Director of SmackDown Live, newly created positions, reporting directly to Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon. In their executive roles, Heyman and Bischoff will oversee the creative development of WWE's flagship programming and ensure integration across all platforms and lines of business. The creation of these roles further establishes WWE's ability to continuously reinvent its global brand while providing two distinct creative processes for its flagship shows. A lot of wording there. It's a lot of, okay, that's not what we're seeing on television now. Does this mean that what we're seeing now on television is going to be eradicated? I certainly hope so. We'll talk about that in a second. With more than 30 years of experience in the sports entertainment industry, Heyman served as president of ECW from 1993 all the way up until 2001, securing pay-per-view distribution for the company as well as a national cable television deal with TNN. After his time with ECW, Heyman joined WWE's creative team and is widely credited with helping launch the careers of many current and former WWE superstars. Bischoff is a former WCW president and a New York Times best-selling author. During his WCW career, Bischoff oversaw the signing of the biggest names in sports entertainment and helped create and develop the NWO storyline, which, in its time, in its inception, was absolutely the best time to be a fan of pro wrestling. I remember back when I was in high school, man, it's all anyone talked about. It's all anyone wanted to do and talk about and be a part of. I went to Mount St. Michael High School in the Bronx, and wrestling was so big when I was all in high school that we held like little matches after class was over or after school was over. We'd have our own little brawls and just mimic what we seen on television. I remember standing outside waiting for the first bell of the day to ring, and I remember it being a Tuesday night and everybody talking about, oh, WCW Nitro. And I was the only guy who was still loyal in that period to WWE. I knew I couldn't watch both, so I always remained with WWE. I always watched Raw. I never watched Nitro. And everybody was on board with how great the NWO was, and everybody that used to watch WWF back in the day, seeing all their favorites go over to WCW and just be a part of this major angle. And I stayed with WWE through their fucking, what was probably their worst period. Now, looking back on it, comparing it to now, I honestly think that now is their worst period. But that's neither here nor there. But everybody was WCW. Eric Bischoff led one of the greatest renaissance in the history of this sport. So, no wonder that Fox asked for Eric Bischoff to be a part of WWE in this new executive director role. He was also instrumental in securing a television deal for WCW with Monday Nitro on TNT and WCW Thunder, which I loved. I thought Thunder was a great show on TBS. After Bischoff founded Bischoff and Hervey Entertainment, a production company that launched TV reality shows, Eric Bischoff went into the way of other assets on television and mobile games. The roles are reportedly full-time executive positions with no plans to be introduced on television as part of a storyline. Now, Heyman is on television anyway because I don't think this role is going to do anything as far as his role or involvement with Brock Lesnar. Eric Bischoff is too good to be off of television. It might not happen immediately, but with how Eric Bischoff carries himself and how Eric Bischoff is such an eloquent speaker and how Eric Bischoff comes off on television with that fucking dick-like charisma, I love it. You're going to hold Eric Bischoff off of television? I don't think so. It might not happen immediately because they have to fix a ton of shit. And when everything is the way that they want, then I could see Bischoff on television. But right now, it's not going to happen, at least for right now. Heyman currently occupies a television role as the manager, advocate of Brock Lesnar. Bischoff has not appeared on WWE television in a full-time capacity since 2005. PW Insider reports that WWE offered Heyman a full-time spot as a top creative team member in February. And around that time, Bruce Pritchard was brought back to WWE because of what Jim Cornette said. You know, Vince McMahon could do a lot of talking, and not everybody, if at all, understands Vince McMahon. Bruce Pritchard was brought back because he's one of the very few people who understands the inner workings of Vince McMahon. Heyman has lent his creative expertise to WWE in recent times, overseeing much of Ronda Rousey's run in the company, helping Ronda, molding the way Ronda cuts a promo, writing or helping her write her promos during the WrestleMania run. Longtime fans will remember Heyman as the leader of the Extreme Championship Wrestling promotion from 1993 to 2001 as head of SmackDown Creative during the famous SmackDown 6 era in 2002. I mentioned this on Tuesday. WWE could have a new SmackDown 6 with everybody that's been missing off television for the last 11 weeks. Maybe we're on our way to getting a new SmackDown 6. Aleister Black, Andrade Cien Almas, Finn Balor, Buddy Murphy, Mustafa Ali, Shinsuke Nakamura. It's not out of the realm of possibility, folks. No reason why those men should be off television. Despite not holding a position in wrestling since leaving Impact in 2013, I don't know exactly what Bischoff was doing in Impact. I don't know if he overseen creative. I don't know if he was merely there as an advisor. I don't know if Dixie Carter was completely hands-on with creative and everything, and she maybe brought in Bischoff to kind of, advise. I don't know. I don't know what his position in Impact was. But Bischoff helped guide World Championship Wrestling in the Monday Night Wars against WWE in the 90s and in the early 2000s, and is one of the most influential figures in the sport. PW Insider says the deal with Bischoff came together in the last several weeks. So we got these two notable names, these two names that I think everybody watching WWE program should know and respect, but that's not going to really evoke change or invoke change. It's not really going to do anything as far as change immediately, and we need change immediately. Why did WWE bring in Eric Bischoff for executive director role of SmackDown Live? Now, PW Insider is reporting that WWE was able to make the deal come together with Bischoff over the last few weeks. Bischoff has been working on a Netflix Hulk Hogan biopic and has other appearances booked as well. However, as of recently, he started canceling those appearances as of last week. This likely means that Eazy-E, Eric Bischoff, and WWE were able to come to a deal last week. It is being reported that he will be working directly with Fox as WWE builds their relationship, and that is going to be obviously the new home of SmackDown Live. His previous work experience was also extremely valuable for WWE to use at this time. I wonder why. You're going to bring back a name now, like Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman, and you're going to create these new roles now because of the way the product is now. I don't know if you guys are living under a fucking rock or in a cave somewhere, but WWE was just as bad last year. Now they're doing it. I wonder why. Is it because there is another promotion set to debut on TNT this October? Maybe. Maybe there's nothing to do with it at all. But I'm sure the AEW effect is really making people worry in WWE. Thus, we got this move announced today. Now, WWE approached Bischoff about the role, and that his previous work in collaborating with Turner Broadcasting, Spike, and other networks in building past TV series were one of the reasons Bischoff was pitched for the position. Well, there you go. Guy's got knowledge and experience in all facets of TV. Why not? Clearly, he's working with Conrad. Clearly, he knows the product. He knows the inner workings of WWE with his past experiences with WCW. I'm sure Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman, respectively, know the feeling of WWE right now. They see it, they feel it, they understand it, they know that right now WWE is not where it needs to be. So they were pitched for the position. God knows how much money they were offered. And I remember Eric Bischoff saying that I'll never get back into the pro wrestling world. That ship has sailed. And here we are. What brought him back? I don't know. Speculate down below. It might also be notable that both Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff have experience in pro wrestling wars. Like I mentioned in the beginning, WWE is about to enter, whether you want to agree with it or not, another war with AEW. And they now have two of the dirtiest players in the game when it comes to counter booking against competition that you can find. So there you go. Eric Bischoff, who created the book Controversy Creates Cash, I swear to God, I hope he brings that mentality to the WWE. Speaking of Paul Heyman, the man who's going to take over Monday Night Raw as an executive director, where Bischoff's going to take over SmackDown Live. PW Insider's reporting that WWE offered Heyman this deal to come on board as a top member of the creative team when Bruce Pritchard was brought in months ago. Heyman had previously been working on stories with Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey, Alexa Bliss, and a few others. Heyman was in a top creative role in the inner circle for a while without an official title. Now that Heyman has one, everybody is impressed that he will be just as good in this new executive director role. Now, I don't know what this exactly means. He was in a top creative role. He clearly did not oversee many aspects of WWE television, only those that he was assigned to work with. Ronda, clearly Brock, and whoever Brock was going one-on-one with, whether it was AJ Styles. I'm sure Paul Heyman had a definite say in how those matches were going to be planned out. AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, everybody that Brock was in the ring with, Finn Balor, everybody that was in the ring with Brock Lesnar, I am sure Paul Heyman had a huge say on anything that happened with Brock Lesnar. Same thing goes for Ronda Rousey. I'm sure he sat down with Ronda Rousey when she entered the WWE. It might not have been a thing immediately, but I see Ronda Rousey on WWE television month after month after month, and you've seen those little Paul Heyman-esque, things about her. Whether it was something that she said, whether it was the entire attitude change, that's all Paul Heyman. So Paul Heyman sat down with Ronda Rousey to go over how to cut a promo, how to address the audience, what to say, maybe change this a little bit and have it sound like this. And I read stories of Ronda Rousey. I don't know if it was with Paul Heyman or not, but Ronda Rousey immediately, after doing a segment on Monday Night Raw, she was already in the zone about what she wanted to do, say, and whatever she wanted to do on next week's show. I read reports about Ronda being so involved and so excited about what she was doing and wanted to present on TV that she'd be on the plane to the next city texting Paul Heyman or whoever about what she wanted to do the following week and how she wanted to have it come across on TV. I love that mentality. That's why I wish Ronda was back on TV now, because the WWE Women's Division is in complete shambles. But Paul Heyman was a direct influence on Ronda Rousey. But I don't know how much influence he had on the entire creative process. Now with this new role, everybody attributed the SmackDown 6 and SmackDown being the best it's ever been back with the SmackDown 6. And Paul Heyman was a direct reason for that. So much so that SmackDown was better than Raw every single week. And Paul Heyman had his hand in that. If we can get Heyman back to doing that, but this time on Raw, I'll be happy. But I don't see that happening. I really don't see that happening. But with the Blisses I don't know what he did with Alexa Bliss. Maybe he had a hand in the whole bullying storyline with Nia Jax. I'm not really sure. I don't really give a shit. Ronda Rousey, Brock Lesnar, and everybody that's been in the ring with Brock, and possibly with the Ronda, Charlotte, and Becky situation, and them going into WrestleMania. I'm sure he had a hand in all of that. Who knows? We won't know ever. But an influence was definitely felt on all of those specific individuals. WWE is pursuing Heyman, or has been pursuing Heyman, to come on board officially in their corporate circles as far as February with the inclusion of Bruce Pritchard. This is reported by PW Insider. That is exclusive to them. It is also reported that Paul Heyman and WWE have been circling around this deal for a long time and finally came to terms recently. Now it looks like we're finally ready to make this announcement and get change implemented on WWE television. So we got Heyman and Bischoff on Raw and Smackdown. A lot of people are wondering with the change, and I've been one to say it almost every chance I had when it was pertinent to the discussion. Why not Triple H? I've always said, and I've said this for years. You can go back to fucking 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I've always felt with the way NXT does presentation and the way NXT tells storylines and how NXT is delivering the sports aspect that AEW wants to do, I always believe that NXT's direction and feel and the way that they operate is exactly what WWE needs to pick up on and apply to their television. And I still believe this to this very day. I don't understand why you wouldn't be borrowing from what NXT is doing and apply it to the main roster, when we all know that NXT is the true A brand of WWE. And funny enough, it's not even associated with the main roster. They refuse to even make mention of NXT. I wonder why. Because WWE's greatest competition should never be AEW. WWE's greatest competition will, and always has been, should be, NXT. But the jealousy of Vince McMahon and everybody that's on Vince McMahon's team, they see what Triple H is doing, and they don't like it. Because Triple H is creating, and when Triple H creates and it generates this buzz and everybody is seeking solace in Triple H, how do you think Vince's guys feel about that? They get word everybody's praising Triple H. They get word of it. They go back to Vince. Vince, at first chance, is going to take what Triple H creates. Vince is going to take it and kill it. This is why I stated Triple H creates, Vince kills. And it's absolutely 100% fact. I don't need to go over any instance in which you need me to go over something. You could just watch the fucking programs and see what Vince has killed from NXT. Vince has not only killed NXT and everything that Triple H has fucking created, but he's killed our spirits. He's broken our souls. Because we love NXT so much, he doesn't want anybody to look at NXT as the future. He has nothing to do with NXT. He writes the paychecks. He's funding NXT, which is bleeding money. And everybody seems to find NXT to be the greatest thing that WWE is doing. How do you think Vince, in his egomaniacal fucking ways, feels about something that he has nothing to do with, outshining him at every chance they get? So of course Vince wants to fucking kill it upon first take. That's my thought process on all of that. Why not Triple H? Why isn't Triple H an executive director of SmackDown Live? Not even Raw. SmackDown Live. You know, back in 2016 when the brand split was really implemented and we had the draft, that fucking bullshit draft, which I will get to in a second. When they had that draft, SmackDown Live got the shaft. You had all the proverbial newbies and nobodies on SmackDown Live. Monday Night Raw, they had a gold mine of talent. Raw hoarded all the talent in WWE and left SmackDown Live with a bunch of no-names. A newly acquired Baron Corbin, Apollo Crews, Heath Slater, and Rhino. Yeah, your Zigglers and your AJ Styles and your Dean Ambroses. But there was nothing over there where you would say, well, shit, I gotta go watch fucking SmackDown on Tuesday night. I don't know any of these fucking guys. Monday Night Raw had all the talent. SmackDown was used as an incubation system where if you get over there and you're created over there and you're molded into what WWE wants you to be, then SmackDown Live could be used as a stepping stone for you to eventually get to Monday Night Raw. That's what SmackDown Live was used for. And I don't know who was in place. I don't know if it was Triple H who had control over SmackDown Live a little bit more so than he does now. I don't even know how much control Triple H has over anything now on the main roster, but it definitely felt Triple H-like. You had Ryan Ward and Road Dogg over there writing storylines. They had their own separate writing teams. They had their own separate rosters. Everything was really split. The brand split was instituted as a true brand split for a couple of months. Everything was separate, and you felt it. And by that, SmackDown was producing better shows. Storylines made sense. You willingly went out of your way to watch SmackDown Live. The ratings were much higher than they are now. They were putting Monday Night Raw to shame. I remember Finn Balor winning that Fatal 4-Way and then fighting Roman Reigns in the main event to go on to fight Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship when it was just created. That was that first Raw. I said it then, and I'm going to repeat it now. That Raw was fantastic. Had different feel, new look. It just felt fresh. And after that, I knew the shows were going to go downhill. Everybody was like, oh, why are you complaining? Because I know. You never give WWE an easy out. Oh, they're great. It was a great show. You can't go on social media and say, oh, this is real change after one fucking show. You need continuity. You need momentum. You need a string of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 good shows. Now it needs to be longer. You need to show me that you are changing, and it needs to get better every single week. WWE did that one show, and down they went after that one show. While SmackDown Live remained constant. Up until the Elimination Chamber where Bray Wyatt won. Bray Wyatt beats AJ Styles and John Cena in a triple threat match on SmackDown Live. He was the world champion. And then he loses it to Randy Orton. Jinder Mahal beats Randy Orton for the WWE Championship, and then SmackDown Live was lost forever. From that moment, SmackDown Live never recovered. It was always down, or they tried to trend upward, and it was never the same. Meanwhile, SmackDown Live was producing NXT-like shows. Had an NXT feel. And now, I hope with this move, they get back to that. But why not Triple H is what I'm trying to tell you guys. Why not Triple H? When I know he had something to do with that period of SmackDown Live. Bischoff and Heyman, you clearly know with this report where they're going to be and where their power is going to line. Fightful Select reports and Sean Ross Sapp reports that they have spoken to some people backstage and received one very interesting reaction so far. The first reaction, says Sean Ross Sapp, I got was from a longtime star who wondered why Triple H wasn't pegged for one of these roles. Triple H isn't getting a powerful role on the main roster, but he's still WWE's COO and a high-power executive in the company. Therefore, the game does have some creative pull. He will also maintain his role in NXT, which is really his heart and his soul and his passion. But he was passed over for Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. Now, that does not mean that Triple H is not going to have a say in what happens, because if Bischoff and Heyman need anything from WWE's developmental, clearly they have to go through Triple H. And don't you think Triple H is going to have a say in anything that comes from his work with Heyman and Eric Bischoff? Of course he is. So I'm not saying that Triple H is not going to have any creative say whatsoever. Of course he is. But everybody is resting their laurels on Triple H taking over a show and showing Vince McMahon how it's going to be, or how it should be. I'm not surprised Triple H doesn't have any power on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. Because why would he? Going back to what I mentioned before, you think Vince's guys want to see Triple H take over a show? Showing them up? Doing what they can't do? Triple H is not going to have any say as long as Vince McMahon's in charge. Why would Vince McMahon put someone of his family in charge and have him show up the boss. I don't see it that way. I never see it happening until Vince is completely gone. Then Triple H can step on it. And who knows when that might happen? That might be forever. Triple H may never get a position of power in WWE like we want him, or like he has with NXT. Goes back to what I stated. Triple H will not be in power on any show because Vince McMahon will not let family overtake any aspect of the TV because Vince knows Triple H will do better than whatever he's producing right now, and Vince can't handle that. So why not go to someone who's not in his family? Fuck a Paul Heyman, fucking Eric Bischoff. Who gives a shit? There you go. Now, speaking of Vince McMahon, has Vince McMahon lost all power with this new executive director role being handed out to Bischoff and Paul Heyman? People are saying, oh, the shows are going to get better. Oh, this is going to be a sign of true change for WWE. Folks, you need to fucking calm the fuck down, and you need to take several steps back in this story. You can get excited all you want. I'm not saying you can't get excited. But I'm not saying don't break out the fucking confetti, don't break out the champagne, don't do none of that shit. Don't be doing backflips in your fucking living room on Monday and Tuesday night now that Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff are going to be executive directors of the show. Well, what are you getting excited for? What are you getting excited for? I'm going to blow your fucking minds right here. Why shouldn't you get excited? Both will report directly to WWE Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon. There's no change. These are names given to a new role, and Vince is still the end-all, be-all of Monday and Tuesday night. I don't get what you're excited about. Vince has not lost power. For those claiming on social media, oh, Vince is going to take a few steps back. Yeah, Vince needs to take a few steps back. We know that. With the XFL happening next year, Vince needs to concentrate on that and leave these two men to do whatever the fuck they need to do. PW Insider is reporting that with their new positions, both Heyman and Bischoff will be reporting directly to Vince McMahon. They will be in positions of great power, but it's still Vince McMahon's call. We're told that they will oversee all aspects of their individual series, answering directly to Vince McMahon. They are now at the top of the pyramid, respectfully, for Raw and Smackdown. But obviously, McMahon will always have the last say in every creative decision. One WWE source compared their roles to Triple H in NXT, and that they will be in charge, but it's still Vince's company. The fact that Bischoff and Heyman are now in the Triple H role on SmackDown and Raw is very interesting because Triple H clearly has an immense amount of power in NXT. And this is what I'm going to end with, folks. This could be the greatest news that we've heard in the dark and dismal times that have been WWE in the last 10 to 15 years. Today could be the greatest news that our ears and eyes have ever seen or heard. But one thing needs to happen. Vince needs to move out of the fucking way. Vince needs to take several steps back. His ego needs to be put in check. And he needs to look himself in the mirror and understand that whatever the fuck he's doing has not worked. Whatever the fuck he is doing or plans to do is not going to work and needs to be completely scrapped. What he needs to do is, just like Triple H, do you see Vince McMahon meddling in Triple H's affairs in NXT? The answer is no. If he has done that, NXT wouldn't be as great as it is now. So why would you do that with Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff? Let these two guys run the fucking shows. I said it on Twitter. You wanted my immediate reaction? Get the fuck out of the way and let these two men with vast knowledge and experience run your fucking shows. These shows cannot get any worse. Let them fix what needs to be fixed and give us what we deserve. Simple. Vince doesn't appreciate the fans. Vince doesn't give a shit about the fans. Vince wouldn't give a shit about the fans if AEW wasn't a thing. Vince wouldn't give a shit. Now that someone else is stepping into his backyard on TNT, on cable television, in prime time, whether it's on Tuesday or Wednesday night, now change needs to be implemented. Why? We knew change needed to be implemented fucking years ago. Now all of a sudden you want to create these new positions and put respected names in these positions. Why? You mean to tell me AEW doesn't have an effect on this? I don't see what everybody's getting so excited about when Vince McMahon is clearly in charge. Everything on WWE television needs to be eradicated. Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff need to come on in and blow up, nuclear bomb this bitch, and fucking get everything back to the way it needs to be. Now, the one thing that popped into my head is the fact that Bischoff is going to be on SmackDown, executive director of SmackDown, and Paul Heyman's going to be an executive director of Monday Night Raw. What does that mean exactly? Does that mean the wild card rule is going to go away? Because if SmackDown and Monday Night Raw, per report here in the WWE, this is what they said. The creation of these roles further establishes WWE's ability to continuously reinvent its global brand while providing two distinct creative processes for its flagship shows. That means the wild card rule and whatever WWE has been doing, the wild card rule, these triple threat fucking whatever, 2 out of 3 falls matches, these elimination matches, everything needs to be abolished. These brand splits, the brand splits that have happened in WWE have been rendered worthless now twice. You either go all the way with it, or you end the brand split completely and you make one full roster of both Raw and SmackDown to flow seamlessly between the two shows. But we know that can't happen. The roster is too vast. Two distinct creative processes. Raw needs to do its own thing. SmackDown needs to do its own thing. I want to watch 2 separate shows. I don't want to watch Raw and then have whatever happened on Raw happen on SmackDown. Not the way WWE's doing it. 2 distinctive creative processes. So I'm hoping that with this news and this statement from WWE, you either go all the way with the brand split or you go all the fucking way with the brand split. Done. A nuclear bomb to this bitch. Everything needs to be abolished. A draft. I don't know when this takes place. I'd actually go through SummerSlam. Whatever you're planning to do, go through SummerSlam. That Monday after SummerSlam, you eradicate everything. You dedicate titles to each shows. You create a draft on that Monday after SummerSlam. You have Heyman and Bischoff present on Monday Night Raw. And you have a full fucking draft. I don't give a fuck if there's no matches on Monday Night Raw. You have a full draft and you dedicate that entire 3-hour block to just reinventing the WWE product as a whole. I want a separate roster for Raw. I want a separate roster for SmackDown Live. And then that is when you have the new era of WWE begin. Everything. And while you're at it, change the entire fucking pay-per-view schedule as well. Go back to having brand-specific shows. That's what I want. Because the talent on this fucking brand, on Raw and SmackDown respectfully, there's no fucking way you have the amount of talent on these shows and you can't do brand-specific shows and have them mean something. And have them mean just importance. This needs to be implemented. I'm hoping that everything I said is eventually going to become a reality. This is a great move. It's the first baby step. Not even a baby step. This is the fucking infant phase. This is WWE crawling for the first time. Because they have been producing god-awful television. This is WWE taking the ever so fucking small step to possible change. But I'm not going to sit here and fucking praise this shit because Vince McMahon is still in charge of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. Both will report directly to Vince McMahon. How is that change? This is nothing but change in WWE giving two respected names a new role in WWE to pretty much steal whatever AEW's thunder is, quote unquote. They immediately put themselves into the headlines and at the top of the newsfeed over Fyter Fest and over Fight for the Fallen. And this will continue to be going on into the summer months. Whether it was by design or it was just a mere coincidence. Whatever. WWE is now at the top of the fucking headlines on every news outlet as it pertains to pro wrestling because of this news. But what is it exactly? Is it moves just for the sake of grabbing headlines? Is it news just for the sake of looking cool? Is it like Vince McMahon coming out on Monday Night Raw with his entire fucking family pointing, or Triple H pointing, I should say, because Vince McMahon stood there like a fucking corpse. Triple H pointing to the crowd and to the camera. You are in control of the show. Change is needed. We haven't been doing a good job. I remember it like it was yesterday. Look at where we are today. Is it going to be one of those situations where they just do for the sake of the fans know the product is shit and they got to make moves just to show the fans that moves are being made? You can make the moves, but if the change doesn't come and if the change is not seen on TV, then the moves are completely fucking useless. And you know I'll be here every single week to fucking call you out on your bullshit. I will be the first one to know whether there's change or there's not change. Change the fucking shows. You need to do what you need to do to compete. Fuck AEW. You need to do for the fans. So long, Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live have been completely fucking useless. I hope Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman could bring importance and a sense of fucking urgency to both Monday and Tuesday night. That will not happen if Vince McMahon is going to veto everything that comes across his desk as far as a creative decision from another person. Vince's creative is not working. I'm not saying Vince should be completely silent and creative. I mean, this show has been running. Both of these shows have been running. 20 years, 21 years for SmackDown, and 26 years plus for Monday Night Raw with the same fucking person in charge. Everybody knows the product is garbage. Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff, I am sure, know the product is garbage. Let them compete. Let them be cutthroat. Let them go at it. I want to see a knife in the fucking jugular when it comes to these shows in October. And if WWE isn't giving me edgy, creative fucking television where I want to tune in the next week, I want to have the feeling of watching these shows end and then say to myself, I can't wait for next week. That's what I want. That's what we all want. Most importantly, that's what we all deserve. This is great news. Don't celebrate yet. Let change happen first, then we can start piecing things together and then pop out the fucking champagne. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you guys think down below. Are you excited or are you in my boat? I am excited internally, but I'm holding that shit in. I'm more curious than I am excited. Let me know what you guys think down below. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Also, join the channel as far as a member goes. Hit that join button. Exclusive badges and emojis. And you guys are going to get early access to Off the Script as well, just like my Patreons. And you guys are going to have exclusive access to my Discord Off the Script server. So make sure you guys do that. If you guys want to be a part of the Patreon page, either one is fine. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. And make sure you guys check out all the other videos, including tomorrow's banger of an episode, Seth Rollins blasts Jon Moxley, and we burn it down as far as his comments on Sports Illustrated in his recent interview, man. Thank you guys so very much. Please hit that thumbs up, share the video, and I will get you guys back here tomorrow for Off the Script. I'll see you guys later. Episode 280 coming tomorrow. You don't want to miss it. See you guys then.